Evening, everyone. Welcome to the session on coding. Today we have amongst us Ms. Sneha, the author of our upcoming computer series, Colin Smart Tech, and a co-founder of MindChan, who will decode the mystery behind coding. She has worked in the education space, non-profits, employability in higher education, and K-12. She has personally taught hundreds of students. She also introduced activity-based learning in coding to overcome pedagogical challenges in teaching kids to code. Sneha's company, MindChamp, not only teaches coding to kids, but also empowers women in technology to restart their careers. Their work has been recognized by DIPP, Government of India, Google, Accenture, Capgemini, and others. Sneha is an avid reader, likes to recreate cuisines from across the world, and regularly practices meditation. She is happiest when asked to explain complex concepts in simple words. Ms. Neha, welcome to the session, and we request you to take this session forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here this evening. Really happy to engage with such a large audience. So without much ado, let's get started. I think in the past, in the recent past, there has been a lot of buzz about coding, what it really is, whether or not it is beneficial for children, whether it should be taught at all, a lot of things. So in this particular webinar, let us understand what it is so that we can make more informed choices in our schools and even in our households. So to begin with, we all know children who can, use YouTube before they can learn to read, right? It amazes me every time I see it. Very young children, 2 years, 3 years, they're barely learning alphabets, but they learn how to operate YouTube or find their way around a smartphone or a tablet. Now, this is something very unique to this generation, that they are digital natives, that they have been born into a world where technology is very prevalent, and hence they're very comfortable. No one has to teach them how to use it. So that's something unique about this generation. And at the same time, the world has also evolved, moved in a way that technology has gained more and more precedence across industries. So to go from, say, abacus to calculators, it took like hundreds of years. And then the time it took for new technologies to develop just grew shorter. So the rate at which technology is developing, progressing is increasing. So, we had, like, we all know that, we had landline phones, and then some cordless phones came, then came BlackBerry, then came the smartphone, and then in the last just one decade, we have heard of so many things. So there's AR, VR, AI, ML, robotics, big data, IoT, so many things, and in such a short period of time. So this just goes on to show that when these kids who are in schools today will go out in the world after they finish schooling, after they finish college, that world will be more and more driven by technology, and they need to make sense of that world. That is the first thing. And second thing, they need to possess the skills to not only effectively get employed, but also be very resourceful, be very, well equipped in that world. So this is, when it comes to skills, this is a story that I like to share, and which has left like a deep impact on me. So I was about 8 or 9 years old when we got the first computer, one of those big monitors, the big white monitors, a separate CPU, and like a white keyboard and all of that. And we got the computer, and we opened Microsoft Word, and my dad starts typing on it. Now, what happened is that my dad was typing, he was looking at the screen and typing, and at that point, at 8-year-old, the 8-year-old me was super surprised that, okay, how could you do this? Like, it's not even an alphabetical order. How did you do this? So then he told me that when he was in college, they used to have typing classes. So you could go to typing classes, learn how to type, and then that added an extra edge to your resume while getting employed. This is back in like the 70s and 80s, whereas today no one asks you anymore if you want to if you know to type. it's so given that it's next to like reading and writing, right? So similarly, if you look at like a 10-year horizon from now, 20-year horizon from now, knowing about technology, knowing about code is going to be very, very essential. It's going to be like matter of fact almost. So it is very important that we develop the skills in students that help them cope with that world. So these skills include creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, communication, collaboration. In the last century, we could get away with just knowing information and memorizing it and reproducing that knowledge. But today, anyone can know information at their fingertips. That's not a skill anymore. Uh, there are more advanced, more higher order skills that are required of employees, of entrepreneurs, of people in general who are going to participate in any economy. So that being said, these sort of skills are important to develop, and the beautiful thing about coding is that it helps develop all these skills. So now that brings us to the question, what really is coding, right? Coding, very simply put, is basically giving instructions to the computer, telling it what to do when the user performs a particular action. So when we say open YouTube and we search for a video, it will definitely show you videos, a list of videos. When you go to Amazon and search for an item, it will show you that particular item. It won't show you something else. So the outcomes are very predictable because they're coded in that way. And all apps across, any app you take, it has been taught to behave in a certain way. And how to teach those apps or those devices to behave in a certain way, that is what coding is. We will revisit this in a short while. Okay. So, like I mentioned, coding is therefore very important for kids to develop because it develops these skills and equips them really with the mindset and also the confidence that they will be able to, handle any given device that they are given, and handle any given device or use any given technology to their advantage. Now, at this point, I'd like to mention that there is a common misconception or a notion that if you code, you have to make something big, or you have to make something that is, world changing or something of that sort. And that's the approach that is to a lot of coding for kids sort of endeavors. So, but I personally believe that is not true. When we were young, we were encouraged to participate in sports. Were we all aspiring to be the next Sachin Tendulkar? No, some of us maybe yes, but the skills that those activities helped us develop, that still remain with us. So if you've played sports as a young student, you know teamwork, you know coordination, you know to listen to someone else, you know how to participate together. So those sort of skills remain with us, and same is the thing with coding. You learn, you develop these skills, and then it will be useful in many ways. So you can become a doctor, you can become like an architect, you can become anything, but you will require the basic knowledge of coding. Okay. So the good news is that we were very, very happy when the National Education Policy this year mentioned that coding has to be taught from Standard 6. I think this is a very, very welcome change, and this is especially true today because code is everywhere, code is all around us, and there is no shying away from it. So there is nothing. I don't think there's anyone who has not used at least one of these apps, if not like all of them or most of them. So these are the common apps. This is where code is around us. All these apps are coded in a particular way, and their scale and their impact is unimaginable. Millions, if not billions, of people use these apps. So that is one way that code says that, oh, listen, I'm present everywhere. But code is also present in like the most unlikeliest of places. So if you've been following Colin's Tech Tuesdays, this was our last week's quiz question. So in addition to the apps that we see on our smartphones or laptops or computers, code is also present in these places, right? From your lifts to your microwaves to even your digital calculators to your, Kindle readers. Every code is there in a lot of unsuspecting places also. So it just goes on to show how pervasive it is, and how important it is for us as users to understand it in a very, very fundamental way. Okay. So just to sum it up, computers accept instructions from humans and they perform tasks. So we give these instructions to computers in a language that they understand. So we have heard of like different programming languages: Java, C++, Python, HTML. So many of them are there. So these are nothing but the different languages in which we give instructions to the computer. Just as humans communicate with each other in any language, these are languages that the computers understand and we give instructions in. So as a very basic understanding of it, YouTube, Google, Amazon are nothing but they are lines of code which says that, hey, if Sneha wants to watch YouTube videos of the National Education Policy, show her that video. From the repository of videos that is there, that is uploaded by other users. If you want to shop for something, it will show you the products and ship you the products and be very accurate in the entire process. So that's what coding is in a very, very basic sense. And there are many ways in which coding is taught. Now, programming languages are taught in schools also. Programming languages are taught in colleges. Programming languages, we will shortly see, are little complex for beginners and especially for kids. So there is a new methodology that is called block-based coding that is used to teach kids to code. So if you have to type like 10 lines of code in a particular language, you could probably accomplish that with like a few blocks of code in one of these block-based coding platforms. So this helps students understand the logic behind the code very well, and at the same time, create something of their own, which gives them the confidence that, hey, I can do this, hey, I can understand this, and I'm able to create something of my own. So I will show you how block-based coding is useful. So to understand why block-based coding is taught instead of text-based coding, we'll just look at a simple example of text-based coding. Block-based coding is also used in a lot of schools. I think a lot of schools do teach Scratch or code.org. So let's see what the entire deal behind it is. So here I have opened Amazon. Okay, so this is a website. Now, if I right click on it and I say inspect, okay, can you see there is a lot of, it says a lot of things. It says doc type HTML and lots and lots and lots and lots of code. Okay, let's look at another website. Let's go to next. Okay, so again, I will right click on it. I will say inspect. Again, lines and lines and lines of code. There's a lot of code that is written in order to make this particular website. Now, this is HTML. It's believed to be, it's technically a scripting language, believed to be one of the simplest, yet we can see that it is a lot. So for children to learn it, it becomes a little intimidating and also maybe sometimes boring that, I have to type so much. Young kids, especially who are in, say, 5th standard or younger, for them, even typing is a little bit of a challenge. So for them, the best way to introduce coding is through block-based coding. So that's where platforms such as Scratch are used. So this is a simple Scratch platform, okay, where we are going to learn today how to make this flying cat. Okay, So this is a very simple animation, does not take up a lot of time, and introduces kids to coding. So let's see how that is done. So we will first go to Scratch. Okay. So this session will be available live. The live session we recorded and available on the Collins page. So in case you want to make the flying cat again, you can come back to the page and help your students or children do this. So this is a Scratch platform. Scratch is one of the block-based coding platforms that is very, very student-friendly and also has a lot of options to, code. So we will click on Create. Okay. I think some of you might be familiar with the Scratch platform. Some students are also taught this in schools. Okay, so this is the Scratch platform, very simple. This is the stage. This is what is called the stage. This is where our characters, also known as sprites, are there. Okay, I can add more sprites in this option. Okay, so there's literally hundreds of options here. Okay, and it's not only characters but also like objects and animals and all of that. So it gives students a lot of options to play around with. One can also upload their own sprite. If you have an image with a transparent background, you can upload your own sprite. Then right now we have a stage which is empty. We can use a backdrop. So this is called a backdrop. So again, different indoors, outdoors, sports, all sorts of backdrops are available by default on Scratch. Again, you can upload your own backdrop using the upload option. Any image that is sort of rectangular, that will fit nicely into the stage. Now, these are the most important component of Scratch, also known as blocks. Now, blocks are nothing but pieces of code that have to be arranged in a particular order in order for the sprite or the character to move. So, for example, if I want to make this particular sprite move 10 steps, I will just say when flat click, move 10 steps. So it just moved a little. So just to make it more apparent.
Sneha, there is a request from Facebook.
Okay.
Some students are requesting you to mention the name of the website, if they could simultaneously do it.
So this is scratch.mit.edu.
Sure.
Yes. Scratch.mit.edu.
Okay.
Okay. So once you go into Scratch, you can create an account also on Scratch so that your projects can be saved in your folders. Scratch also allows you the option of creating projects without logging in. Both of it can be done. So once the project is done, a link of it can be shared. Or you can also download it on your computer. So coming back, so these are the blocks. There are different kinds of blocks. So now moving is motion, right? That is one of the kind of blocks. Now, there are different kinds of blocks like look, sound, events, what will happen when something happens. There is control blocks, which will basically control how the code flows. We'll shortly see what that means. There are sensing blocks. If there are multiple sprites, if you're making like a football game and the football has to hit the leg of the footballer and then, something has to happen, he gets a score or like a score is deducted, sensing block is used for that. Operators, these are mathematical operators, usually used in a little more advanced Scratch programs. Variables, again, are a little more big, like intermediate concept, I would say, not really beginner concept. And you can also create your own blocks. So without much ado, we will be making this flying cat. Okay, so a flying cat basically has three elements. Okay, a cat which looks like it is flying. So if you've seen Superman or Superman, movies, it looks as though the Superman is flying and the Superman is flying. But the other way of achieving that effect is to make the objects around it move. So there are three elements over here. There is the cat itself, there are the clouds, and then there are the buildings. Okay, so what we will do first is that we will add these three characters on our stage. So I will, so this cat looks like it's walking, whereas we want like a flying cat, right? So we will go and we will search for flying cat. Okay. So we have this cat. Okay, now we don't need this one. So we can go here and click on this little icon here. So that will get deleted. Now, one important part is that if you notice, if you just ignore the clouds and the buildings for a bit, the cat is here. The cat always needs to be in this particular position. So what we will do is we will quickly set its position so that it doesn't move. Okay, so we'll go to events. We will say when flag clicked, this cat needs to be here. We have given it the instruction that it will be over here. Now, how will we say that stay put? How will we say that? So this particular stage for for parents and teachers, this particular stage is just like the like the 4 quadrants in coordinate geometry. So this is there is an invisible y-axis here and an invisible x-axis here. So all positions of the sprite on the stage have a xy coordinate. So if I take it here, can you see these values change? X value and Y value. For students, you just need to understand that it has an address, okay, and its address is mentioned in X and Y, okay. So, okay, it changed. It became something else. Now we will keep it here, okay. Now its address or its position is -148, 112. So this is auto-filled in this particular blocks. So we will say go to -148, 112. So now if I move the cat somewhere else, okay, and I click on flag, it will still go back there. If I move it here and I click on flag, it will still go there. So we've defined the starting position for the cat. Okay. Now we will go to the other 2 elements, which are the clouds and the buildings. So we have the clouds, okay, and we have the buildings. Okay. Now, again, let's see the output. In this output, the clouds are always gliding over here, and the buildings start from this corner and go to this corner. So, nothing complicated about it. Very simple. We'll go step by step in coding. It always helps to go step by step. The cloud, we will first code the cloud and then code the building. Okay. So, for now, we'll just keep the building aside. Okay. Now, we know that the basic logic of it. So before putting any code, you just understand the logic of it. The code becomes super simple. Okay. So the cloud is here and then it is coming like this and floating and going. Correct? So the initial position or the initial address of the cloud is here. Okay. So when I place the cloud here, okay, the XY values are 292, 110. So the same thing that we did with the cat, we'll do with the cloud. Okay. So we will say when flag clicked, okay, go to 292, 110. So 292, 110. Okay. Now the same thing will happen. If I put the cloud here and I put the cat somewhere else, if I click on flag, it will go there because we have coded it to go there. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to make it glide. Okay. Now there is an option called glide n seconds, whatever seconds we choose, to another position. So now we have to make it glide from here to somewhere here, right? So, okay. So this is the position. So this will be -301 and 106. So let's see what happens if we just put this. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, it's going. Okay, but here we see that it's going a little slower, right? So what can we do? Okay, we have to make this gliding a little slower. So for that, what we use is called a forever block. Okay. So we will say repeat forever, glide to this thing, and we will say wait for. Okay. So now what will happen is that, okay, now it's going fast. Let us make it a little slow. Okay, let us increase the value and see. Okay, did you observe it? So if you say 0.8. Okay, so now we will make this particular. So what is happening right now in this particular logic is that it is gliding from here to here and waiting for 0.8 seconds. What we wanted to do is that we wanted to glide very, very slowly. So now there is this glide option, which is used to glide from one end to the other. Another way of doing this is also to use the repeat option. So now this is a slightly, I wanted to show you both because this is a slightly advanced concept. So in repeat option, so gliding is one of the ways to do it. I will just delete this for now. What we will say is that we will change the X position of it. So if we change the X position, it moves horizontally. And if we change the Y position, it moves vertically. Okay. So just X is sleeping, Y is standing. That's all you need to remember. So what we'll say is that repeat n number of times, change X by, okay, we will say minus 10. Okay. Change X by minus 10. Okay. And we will also, what we will do is that we can change the costume of the sprite. Now, this is another important concept. Costume is basically, can you see costumes over here? There are different types of clouds. Okay. So you want to show that the cloud is floating, then we can change the costume in every iteration or every time it repeats. So we will say, we'll go to looks and we will say, next costume. Okay. So let's see what happens here. Okay. This is happening super quickly, right? So let's try a bigger number. Let's say 50. Okay. So I want to show you all the variations so you will know how it progresses. Okay. Again. Okay. So now it is progressing super quickly because there's no wait time between the changing of X and next costume. So we will just say wait for 0.3 seconds. Let's see how that goes. Okay. This is super slow. Okay. Now we can.
So Sneha, there is a request from students. They're saying if, because they're practicing or some of them are, I think, following you, they're doing it with you. If you could go a little bit slow so that all of them could, and also if you could, use simpler terms, that is what they are suggesting.
Okay, sure. No problem. So I'll just quickly run through this again. Okay. So we have, when we added the cloud, we have gone to the starting position of the cloud. That is pretty simple, the starting address of the cloud. Okay. Now what we have to do is that if we have to change the position of any sprite, right, we can change it up. We can go up and down, or we can go left and right. Okay. Simple. We can go up and down, or we can go left and right. So for now, you can just understand that for it to go left, we change the X value. Okay. We change the X value and we change it by, for it to go left, we change it by minus, and for it to go right, we change it by plus. If that's something you've understood, just you can just type in your comments that this is understood. So what we will do is we will just change the values of this type and make it easy. Shrikant is.
Hello. Yes, Neha.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I continue?
Yes, please, please.
Okay. So now we can see that the clouds are moving and the cloud is coming towards the cat. Okay. Now we can also repeat. We can also increase this number. You can try different numbers out. After this, I will also share this project with you so that you can go. There is a option to work around with this particular code. So I will explain that to you. So we can change around these values and adjust the speed of the cloud. Okay. Now, if this is something that we are okay with, what we can do is move on to the building. Now, building will have the same logic, so you can understand the same thing again better. The starting position of the building will be here. Okay, correct? The building will be here and it will go to this side. So let's just use glide in this one. Let's not use X so that it will be simpler for everybody. So what we will do is we'll say events when flag click. Okay. First, what we do, we set the initial address of the sprite. Go to 259 minus 3 is the address now. 259 minus 3. Okay. Now, what will we say? Events. Repeat forever. Okay. Or we can simply say glide to which position? Okay, minus 264, 30. So we can say minus 264, 30. Okay, so when we play this, okay, can you see the building has glided now? Okay, so we can also slow down this by changing this particular number. So let's set this 0. Okay, it became. So despite of reducing the time, it is still going fast. So the way to overcome is that we can put it inside a repeat. We can ask it to wait. This minor glitch with it, just 1 second. Just a second. So the glide seems to have a glitch with it right now. Ideally, it should move slowly. Okay. So what we can do is we can duplicate this particular code over here and use it for the buildings as well. So say duplicate and use it here. Copy this code, Control C. Okay. So now we need to adjust the values of the building accordingly because these are the values of the cloud. So the initial position of the building would minus 12. And okay. Can you now see that they are moving together? So we can also change this a little bit and say we can change this, reduce this number a little bit, so that it looks like the cat is flying. So I hope you got the crux of how this program works. I'll just quickly explain it again. What we have done here is that we've taken a sprite and we have asked it to go to a particular initial position. So that is with the help of the go to X block. Okay, XY block. It goes to the initial position. After that, for the other two particular sprites, what we do is that we change its X position. So we gradually change its X position by -10. Then we change its costume, and then we wait for some time so that it does not move very fast. So that's what it's done. That's simple 3 steps. We repeat this. We repeat this for the entire particular duration of the program. That is for it to glide through the entire stage. So I hope this is clear and gives you a little idea of how this coding with the help of Scratch works. I am happy to take questions, and if you have any doubts, I'm happy to answer it right
away. Okay, so Sneha, there is one request from the students. Most of the students have been doing it simultaneously with you.
Okay, okay.
So what they're suggesting is if you could explain it again.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, in a few steps, so that, in baby steps, so that they can also follow.
Okay, sure. We can do that. Okay. So all of you have understood that we have to add 3 sprites. If all of us have added 3 sprites, the flying cat, the cloud, and the buildings. Okay. We have to add 3 sprites. Now, the logic behind this is that if we show the clouds and buildings to move, then it will look as though the cat is flying. Okay. So if we move the buildings and the cloud, the cat is flying. That is the basic logic behind the code. Okay. So I hope so far so good. If yes, you can just type that in the comments.
Yes, they're saying yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now with the cat, the logic is pretty simple, that we just have to make sure it is always over here. Okay. Now on a Scratch stage, every sprite has its address. Okay. Now the address of this cat is X -148 and Y 112. Okay. So we set the address to go to -148, 112. So whenever I click on the flag, it will go to its home. You can think like that. Okay. Whenever we click on the flag, it will go to its home. No matter if you place it somewhere else, if you click on the flag, it will again go to its home. I hope this is clear.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So now next we go to the clouds. Now, what is the logic for the clouds? Let us, for a moment, let us hide the cat and the building. Let us forget about the cat. Okay. Now, what will we say? What do we want to do? We want to make the clouds go from this end to this end. Okay. And while clouds fly, they change their shapes very slowly. They go. So we will also change the look of the cloud. So now this look of the cloud is also known as costume, which you can see over here. Okay. So this is cloud A, which looks like this. Then cloud B, which looks like this. Cloud C, which looks like this. And cloud D, which looks like this. Okay. So if while moving, it will change its look. So it looks as though we are looking at an actual sky. Okay. If that is all right, if that is understood, so far so good.
Yes.
Okay. Now what we will do is that what do we want to do? We want to move the cloud from here to here. Correct? Now, while moving the cloud from here to here, we have to change the address of the cloud, correct?
Yes.
The address of the cloud we have learned is defined by some x value and some y value. Okay, it's like our house have a house number, right? Like that, they have these two numbers. Okay, now to change the any sprite, to make it glide or to make it go horizontally, that is in a sleeping manner, we just change the x, we don't change the y. Okay, so now what we will do is to make it go to the left hand side, we will keep changing it, we will keep decreasing. Can you see, if when it is here it is 221, then it became 133, then it became 42, then it became it went to minus. So after 59 it becomes 47, 34, 22, minus 4. So it keeps on reducing as we go from this side to this side. So what have we understood? That the x value has to keep decreasing. Okay. So for that, we will say change x by minus 10. Okay. And once it moves a little, we will also make it change its costume at once. Okay. So it moved a little, changed its costume, moved a little, changed its costume. Okay. And between this moving and changing the costume, we will just make it wait for some time. Okay. Okay. Now it's moving, changing costume, moving, changing costume. What are these costumes you have seen over here? So now if I do this quickly, see can you see the way it is moving like a actual floating cloud? That's what happens when we change the costume. Okay. So for every sprite, there are different costumes. We'll not get into that, but just you can remember that for every sprite, there are different costumes. Okay. Now, while after changing the X and changing the costume, if we don't wait, then it will go very fast. Okay. See, it went super fast. So what do you want to do? We'll ask it to wait for some time. Okay. We'll ask it to wait for some time. And okay, so slowly it's going, it is changing its x value, changing its address towards and going towards the left, changing its costume and also waiting for some time. Okay, we say repeat 150 because we want to do it right all the way from this side to this side. Now if I put a small value, it will happen for very less number of times. If I put 30, okay, it will happen and it will stop at one point. But we want to make sure that it goes all the way. See, it has stopped here now, but we want to make sure it goes all the way till the end. So we put a larger value so that the entire path is covered. Okay, so we'll stick to 150. So understood? Simple logic. We go to the address, then we start moving away from the address just by changing the x value. Okay, and we simultaneously change costume so that animation effect comes. Okay, now that our clouds are done, okay, our clouds are done. Okay, now we want to do our buildings. Now again, let us hide the clouds and hide the cat. We'll just go to the building. Now again, the same logic applies. What we will use for the building. What the building is at one place, we have to change its address. Correct? We have to go to the neighbor's house. How do we go to the neighbor's house? We go to the neighbor's house by decreasing the x value. So we say change x by minus 10. Okay. Then here also there are different costumes for buildings, as we can see here. See, there are different kinds of buildings. There is this building, different kinds of buildings. So basically, if I change it fast, what's happening? It's changing the costume, right? So same thing we're trying to do here. And we say repeat so many times and change x by minus 10. It goes to neighbor's house, changes the costume, waits for some time, goes to the neighbor's house. As simple as that. So when flat click, okay, this happens. Okay, if you want to wait, if you wanted to wait for some more time, we can do that as well. It will just make it slower. Okay, you see this is much slower. Okay, but we want to make it sync with the clouds because it has to appear as though they're flying together. So that's why we will say when we do all of this together, it feels as though the cat is flying towards the clouds and the building. Is that clear, Shrikant?
Yeah, it is clear. Also, there is a question: can we make the cat move and keep the building stationary?
Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely.
Can you show that? Can you show the cat moving, maybe jumping over the cloud, just
sure. We can
keep the building stationary.
And make stationary, right? So what I use our project. This was a live flying cat. Okay. Now we will I will take a new project. Okay. Okay. And we'll go step by step so that it's clear again for everybody.
Yeah, okay. Because I think most of the students are able to follow through reinforcement.
Okay, great. So we will again. What do we need? 3 things: our sprite, that is the cat; our second sprite, that is the building; and third sprite, that is the cloud. So
yes,
we will add these 3 sprites. Okay. Okay. Now this is one sprite. We'll add our clouds. Okay, and we will add our building. Okay, now these 3 things are here like this. They're just kept anywhere. What do we need to do first? Go to our home, go to our respective address. Okay, so now we put the cat here. Okay, we'll keep the cloud here and the building, let's say we'll keep it over here. Okay, now, okay, what we can also do with the cat, which is interesting that you can try out on your own, is that the cat can also be shown to fly like this. Okay, so this is done by switching the costume. Okay, so for now we will just make it go like this. Okay, so now what we can do is, first thing, set our addresses. So events and flag clicked -167.97 is our home address. Okay, next clouds address is, let's say they are over here. Okay, 147.122. so when flag clicked, (147.122) and building's address is 85 minus 22. Once again, when flag clicked, 85.20. Okay, now no matter what we do, where we place them, the moment we click the flag, they'll go to their respective addresses. Now what we want to do, we want to make the cat go from this end to this end. Okay, so now same logic, we made the cloud go from here to here. It's the same logic we use to make the cat go from here to here. Now what we have seen is that while going to the neighbor's house, okay, we change the x value. Okay, so can you, in this, if you see right now, the x is 28, 38, 57, little I move 71, 85, 106. The y remains unchanged, but the x keeps changing. Okay. Okay. So now what is happening? X is increasing. Okay. Simple logic. X is increasing. So in order for it to go from here to here, we have to make the x increase. Okay. So we will say control. Repeat. We've seen why we repeat many times, because you have to go from here to all the way till here. So before adding repeat, let's do without the repeat to see what happens. So you'll get a better idea. You will say change x by 10. Okay. And and wait for 0.1. Okay. Now if I do this, can you see it changed a little bit? It changed very little. Okay. Whereas if I put it inside repeat, it will change 10 times. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now now it's stopping here, which means what do I have to do? I have to make it go further. Means we will repeat this action of changing X and waiting even more. So that will be, we'll make it 50. Let's see what happens. Okay, awesome. It went almost, you can see its tail over here.
Exactly.
So let's increase a little. Okay. Okay. I think we'll have to increase it all. It's stopping over there regardless. So we can change these values even further and see. But for now, you get the basic logic, right? That when we change the X and then we wait, change the X, wait, change the X, wait. So when it goes on, when it happens all together, it looks as though the cat is flying. Now, clouds are also stationary, but they keep changing their shapes, right? So we want to make the cloud move. We'll just change its costume, okay? So we will again put it inside the repeat block, okay? And we will say next costume and wait for 0.1 second, okay? So now what will happen is that let's put a bigger number so that we need for it to keep happening, okay? Got it? So it is stationary, it is where it is, okay? But it is changing.
Wobbling. It's kind of wobbling.
It's kind of okay. And buildings generally do not
move. Yes.
So we will keep it as it is. One more thing that we can do to make this look more real is that change the backdrop. Okay. So let us see what backdrop fits here the best. So suppose
you can keep the hayfield.
Which one?
Hayfield.
Hayfield.
The one below the farm.
Okay. Okay. So the cat is flying over the hayfield.
Yeah.
Okay. What another thing that I wanted to show was that here we see only one cloud. Usually sky is scattered with cloud. What we can do is we can add another set of clouds. Okay. We've added another set of clouds. Okay, and we can set their size to be smaller. Okay, so suppose we set them to be 60. See, they look smaller and they look farther away. Okay, we can also increase its size. Okay, we can also make it much bigger. We can make it much smaller. So the size of the sprite can be changed over here. Okay, now we can do the same thing with the clouds at the back also. We will say events when flag click. Set the clouds address. Very important. Most Scratch programs, you have to set the position of the sprite first, or else it will. But if you change it when it's not playing, it will play from the new position. Say control. Repeat 10 times. Change the costume. We will make this wait for a little longer. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can remove the building also over here because it's a hayfield.
Yeah.
So we can do this and do this. Okay. I hope this is clear for everybody. I think this is simpler.
Yes. Yes. It is.
Okay. So happy to take any questions. Shrikant, should I stop sharing my screen?
You can actually make it full screen and you can just show them how to save the project and then we can go for questions.
Sure. So we can save the project. There are two ways to save the project. Firstly, we have to name the project. So flying cat in the farm. Okay. Okay. So now there's a share option here. So if we click on share, okay, we can copy the link and share this particular link with anybody. There's also an option to give instructions. So we can just say press or click on the green flag to play. Okay. So this will, so whenever if I, for example, if I copy this link and I open it in a new tab, okay, see, click on the green flag to play, the instructions that we have given. And, okay, our flying cat is ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how we share the project. There's also another option. Now, if we go to, if we see anyone else's project, okay, now if I am logged in with another account and I see this project, I can click on see inside, okay, and I can see the code for it. So for example, many of you must have received the teaser for today's webinar, right? This one, if you have seen this one. Okay, so now this, the when I share it, okay, this is the link, okay, and I can, even if I open it as a third person, I can see the see inside option. So this is a very good aspect about Scratch, that it helps you see how other projects are built also. So you can't change it. You can add it to your own projects and change it, but you can't change their code, but you can see how it works. So this particular one, each word had to be coded separately. So this particular project took about 20 to 30 minutes to make, and this is the code for it. So if anyone shares a link with you, or if you share your link with anybody, you can always ask them to also see inside to see how you have coded the entire project. That is how we save and share the project.
Wonderful. So I'm waiting for questions from students here, in case students and also teachers and parents. In case you got questions, please do type on both the platforms, that is Facebook and Zoom, and I'm sure Sneha would be very happy to take your questions. So I'm just waiting for questions from the students, but ma'am, can we add sound in Scratch? That's the first question.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, wonderful question, actually. So there is a sound block, and you can add all sort of sounds. You can change the volume, and you can do all sort of things. So let's add the sound to this particular flying cat itself. So we go to sound block, and we can go to, we can just say play sound pop until it's done. Okay. Now, if you want to see more sounds, we go here. Okay. And we say add sounds. So just like there's add sprite, right? Or add backdrop, there is also an add sound option. So there are literally so many sounds. Okay. So if it's a piano. Okay. There's a electric bass. There are all sorts of sounds.
Can we use that electric bass for the cat jumping?
Yeah, we can use the electric bass.
I think Ms. Payal has raised her hand. I would request Ms. Payal to type in a question.
So if I select electric bass, now I can go to code. And if I click on this particular thing, can I see electric bass here?
Yes.
The sound is... can you hear the sound?
I don't think, no. Yeah.
Yeah, you could hear it?
I heard a little bit of it.
Little bit of it. So let's put it inside the block. So every time it changes, it'll...
Yeah, now, yes.
Perhaps we can put a more pleasant sound over here.
Yeah. So while you do that, there is a question from Ms. Alisha. A question is, do we have any Indian platform for such block level coding? This is an MIT platform, right? So do we have any Indian platform?
So currently, to my knowledge, no, there are no block-based coding platforms for Indian platforms for block-based coding. There's Scratch, like I mentioned in the presentation. There's Scratch, Tinker, and Code.org are the most widely used ones.
Okay. So does that mean we can make a virtual piano in Scratch?
Yes. You can make a virtual piano on Scratch.
Okay. Mr. Rahul Handa says, please tell everything because I joined late. I request Mr. Rahul Handa to, take a look at the Facebook video that will be available for you even after the program is done. I don't think we can repeat the entire thing. It might take an hour or so. The next question is...
on the Facebook page as well, right?
Yeah. So I'm using Scratch to app. Okay, do we need to register in order to, use this app?
So
this platform?
Scratch allows you to create a project without registering also, but it won't be shared it won't be stored in your folder. So right now I have a profile and I have a projects folder where there's scratch.mystuff. So all the projects that I have made is here. So that is the advantage of having your own account, that you can save all your work in one place, and even when you go to explore, right?
There is another question. Can we put our own self-made logo? Can we insert our own logo?
Yes.
I think this we can answer because just before this you had shown the Mindspark and the Collins logo, Mindchamp and the Collins logo together.
So, like you can let's just go see inside. Yeah, I have added the Mindchamp and the Collins logo. So how I did it was I added it as a sprite. So you can see and click on upload sprite. So it will open the dialog box from which you can upload from your computer.
Okay. Now coming to the pricing, they're asking, does Scratch cost to implement more things? No. Does the Scratch cost? No, it is free of cost.
Completely free.
Okay. So ma'am, it is completely free of cost.
And Shrikant, just one more thing that I wanted to show the students was that when you go to the Scratch homepage, okay, there are these featured projects, okay, and if you have an account, you can actually put up curated projects. You can put up, your projects can be displayed in a particular category and all of that. So if I go to featured project, say go to any one of these, okay, I can see that it is made by which user. So can you say it's Chimdika is awesome. So this is made by this particular user. Okay. So now if I go to their profile, I can see all their projects, what all projects they've shared, what have they created and all of that. So this is the advantage of having your own profile. You can really showcase your work, and people can also view your projects. You can see how many people have seen the projects and so on.
Okay. So there is a last question. I think we have a paucity of time. Okay. So there is one last question, ma'am. How do we download the Scratch?
So Scratch is a web platform. In your laptop, you can use it on the web itself. So you can go to Mozilla or you can go to Chrome, Internet Explorer. Chrome, I think, has the smoothest experience. So you can go to Chrome and type scratch.mit.edu. So this will give you the this particular entire platform. If you're using it on an iPad or a tablet, you can go to Play Store or App Store and download the Scratch app. So that's available for tablets.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. I'm really sorry about that.
Okay, ma'am.
I muted everyone. Okay. So I think that is the last question. So there is a little, there is an announcement over here before we close the session, which is that we will be giving the winners of the quiz. We'll be announcing the winners of the quiz on the 1st of September. We have a follow-up webinar for the senior classes. So I hope all of you will participate in all the quizzes that we have every Tuesday that we post on our Facebook page. And the questions are sourced by MindChamp and Sneha and Mansi. Both of them are sourcing us the questions. So that's an announcement. And to all of you who joined us, we thank you so much for being a part of this. And to all of you who joined late, this video will be on our Facebook page. So you can revisit it during your free time and you can practice what's made, shown and taught all of us. So with that, on behalf of all the participants and Collins, I would like to thank Sneha and the team of MindChamp who had done a wonderful session for all of us and introduced coding, which to many of us is rocket science, but I think it is now simpler. It's now comparatively very simple.
Learned a little bit of coding today.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much and wish you all the best and wish all of you a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all of you for joining.